Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now, building a brand new PC at the time of this video still isn't the best idea, with graphics card and memory prices still pretty high. So today I put this budget machine together that both takes advantage of the latest hardware, giving you room to upgrade in the future, as well as makes use of some great deals I found on the used marketplace. It's not the best bang for your buck machine, but if you want to play games like Fortnite, Overwatch and PUBG with 60 FPS and decent settings, and want the guarantees and warranties that come with new hardware, then it will do just fine. So let's get into it. This is also the Intel edition, so expect an AMD edition build very soon. Starting with the case, and I found this beauty used on Facebook Marketplace for £20. The seller wanted £25, but I worked a little magic and got a whopping £5 off. I'm told it was purchased and never used, and it has plenty of space with a nice bottom mounted PSU enclosure. Speaking of which, the power supply is also second hand, and I found this one on Spock, though I can't help feeling a little scammed. See, the box says 550 watts, but inside was a 450 watt unit, which I'm told was never used, though I can quite easily tell it has been. Still, for just £10, a branded Corsair PSU will be more than sufficient enough to power the rest of this PC. For the new components, I went with the Pentium G5400 and Asus Prime H310MA motherboard. This successor to the G4560 offers decent performance for the money, featuring 2 cores and 4 threads. Despite the lacking core count, it will still make light work of most modern titles, and of course can be upgraded to an i5 or i7 on this socket in the future, should you wish to do so. This board and CPU combo was actually sent to me, so I've included the original brand new UK prices in the budget. RAM prices are also pretty silly right now, and if you're buying new, I'd have to insist you go with a single 8GB stick of DDR4, especially on the Intel platform where it won't hurt performance as much as it would on the AMD Ryzen platform. That being said, I found a nice deal on the same Corsair LPX memory I use in my main rig, thanks to an in-store deal. A pretty good buy in my opinion, especially with the current extortionate memory price tags. For the GPU I opted for the 2GB GTX 1050. As a brand new card, it offers all the latest support and features, with performance that matches an older high-end GTX 680 from back in the day, though it consumes far less power and requires no extra 6-pin connectors. I bought the pallet version because they are one of my personal favourite brands. Finally, for the hard drive, I decided to go with a standard 500GB SATA drive that I got used for £8. I formatted it, tested it, and ensured it's working correctly. A dying drive is the last thing anyone needs, though thankfully the store I got it, CEX, offers a standard free 2-year warranty. I would advise looking for second-hand hard drives with warranties if you decide to go down the used route here. With my parts gathered and the PC built, it was time to admire the cool blue fan LED for a minute or two, and very tidy cable work if I do say so myself, and jump into some games. Starting with the ever popular Fortnite, and I decided to take the plunge and stick everything on the high settings at 1080p. Here the game ran with at least 60 frames per second almost all of the time, with no off-putting in-game frame drops. The last thing anyone needs, especially an awful player like me, is a massive frame dip or lag spike moments before taking a vital shot or something like that. I aimed for 60 FPS settings with most games today at Full HD. With Overwatch I selected the high preset and set a custom 300 FPS frame cap. Here the game performed very well, and even I performed better than usual. I thought so anyway. Here the game averaged 112 FPS, an average taken across 3 online games and combined, along with the 1% and 0.1% lows that you see on screen too. If you want to cap the game to 60 FPS to match, say, your refresh rate, then at no point would you drop below that. In PUBG, which is really seeing some nice optimization updates recently, the game averaged 62 FPS at medium settings. I used the medium preset with nothing else changed and 100% screen scaling of course, and I was surprised by the pretty solid performance. Just as a reminder though, there will still be a few hiccups when you first jump out of the plane, but the game soon smooths itself out. I then jumped into a few more CPU intensive games, starting with Watch Dogs 2, which likes to complain if you run it on anything but an i7. Even my Ryzen 5 1600 doesn't get on with this title. Here at 1080p with the medium settings, which Nvidia GeForce Experience defaulted to, I saw 52 frames per second on average. There will be a few frame dips in and around the busiest part of sunny San Francisco, though performance seemed to stabilise a bit after a couple of minutes in game. Just Cause 3 also ran fairly well. Again at medium I saw 57 FPS on average, with a brief moment or two of slowdown, of which can be held accountable for that low 0.1% figure. Still, it was a pretty decent experience in my opinion. Finally, Assassin's Creed Origins was where I saw the lowest performance figures, of course likely down to the incredibly CPU bound nature of this game. Even 4-core 8-threaded CPUs will struggle here, so I think my Pentium did okay all things considered, along with the 2GB GTX 1050. Low or very low settings would smooth things out, but I don't mind a lower frame rate in third-person titles, so it may even be worth capping the game to 30 FPS and turning things up a little more. Of course, it's all down to personal preference. I'd also like to quickly talk about CPU performance. In Cinebench, the processor scored 401 and 157 in the multi and single core tests respectively, and I also put the Pentium through its paces in editing, using Premiere Pro 2015, which felt surprisingly quick. I edited this whole video on this system and could continue to happily do so. So there we have it. No, this build doesn't represent the best bang for your buck, especially in a market full of used components, but it will run most current games very well and does offer you a modern platform for future upgrades. I'll be releasing my used build video very soon to see what sort of performance we can get on a much tighter budget, as well as an AMD edition of this new meets used parts PC. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like on it. If you didn't, leave a dislike on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next video.